Please welcome Tracey Wilson.
Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. And if you were here before, welcome back. And if you have been to all 3 sessions, welcome back. We have a jam-packed final session for you this afternoon covering all things manufacturing. To help set the stage, please welcome Vice President of DELMIA R&D, Karine Gosse. Welcome.
Thanks, Tracey. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm extremely happy to be here with you today. If we just go to the next slide. Perfect, thank you. So I'm glad to be here today for the manufacturing domain session of 3DEXPERIENCE World. This is the most important topic, but not only because we are all here together to talk about it. The industrial revolutions have defined human history. It started by harnessing the power of water and steam in the first revolution. Then it was about electrifying production processes in the second, and introducing computing and automation across many industries in the third. Industry 4.0 may be defined as the introduction of smart technologies, artificial intelligence, sensors, seamless networks on the shop floor. At Dassault Systèmes, however, we prefer to define the next generation of manufacturing systems by the values they bring to your business. And we always put women and men at the center. We define ourselves as the enabler for sustainable operations in 3 dimensions. First, we aim at providing the best collaboration tools, the best collaboration capabilities, building knowledge, know-how, capitalizing on it to train the younger generation, empowering the people. Second, we want to help you be more efficient, more frugal, more sustainable, boost production efficiency, reduce weight, improve energy consumption. And third, we know how important customer and suppliers' relationships are for sustainable company growth. So this is with all these values in mind that we have built a complete portfolio of solutions to support you. On the equipment side, we provide simulation and programming of a wide range of equipment, from NC machines with CAM software, robot work cells, to complete factory layout and factory flow simulation. And from a manufacturing process point of view, we support functionalities from bill of material and bill of process authoring to fully integrated end-to-end manufacturing ERP with DELMIA Works. And all of this with strong focus on collaboration through the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and dedicated roles such as 3D Lean, boosting teamwork both on-site and remotely. And this has come particularly handy in our pandemic times. So ultimately, our ambition is to help you innovate, continuously exploring new opportunities, new possibilities through modeling and simulation of your manufacturing operations. And these possibilities are what we call virtual twin experiences. In the world of operation, they need to be collaborative on one side, but also based on business and operational data on the other side. So during this session, you will hear how you, our customers, our users, are innovating, what are the most important benefits that you are looking for, the most significant challenges you face, and we will discover some of your successes. So let's start right away with our first panel. For that, we welcome Barbara Schmitz. Barb, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to 3DEXPERIENCE World. We're really excited to talk about manufacturing today, and I'm going to bring out my panel. Come on out, panel. All right, we are talking today about manufacturing. And as we all know, there's a huge skills gap, not just in the US, globally. not going away anytime soon. So I've got my panel of experts here. We're going to get a deep dive into the issues and how we think we can resolve some of those issues. So Ashley, I'm going to start with you. I happen to know that MetalQuest has about 30% of its workforce is women. I assume that's quite intentional.
Yes.
What is it you do as a company to attract that high a number of women?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased because I'm in marketing, but marketing has been huge for us. Bringing awareness to the industry and showcasing the cool stuff we're doing. Manufacturing is such an incredible industry. There's so much cool stuff going on, so just bringing general awareness to the industry as a whole has really helped us, bring women into our workplace.
They're not dirty jobs anymore. They're
No.
high tech. Yeah, excellent. Do you think it's a competitive advantage that
Of
you
course.
have 30? And what do you think then that they bring that's unique?
Attention to detail is one, I think. It seems that women are just more, they pay attention to the little things, and not to say men don't, of course, but that's one characteristic that comes to mind.
I'm sure there are many more. Megan, I know we've talked about this. Maybe you could just briefly add your thoughts to that.
So my ongoing joke with people is we came second for a reason. We're the upgraded version of humanity. But women tend to be more creative and more relationship focused. So in a time where we really need to bring in more of a diverse group, collaboration is highly important, and we tend to be more collaborative versus our male counterparts. Like, they're usually validating their success on, self-success, so they're more competitive, they're more aggressive, they're more territorial. Women tend to be more emotional focused and more relationship focused. So I think bringing in some of that caring attributes that we have is really helpful in bringing teams together, and just the emotional intelligence as well too, and having empathy and compassion, bringing the teams together.
Absolutely.
Is one of our superpowers.
And collaboration is going to be a theme. We're going to probably hear a little bit more about collaboration later today. Titan, I know you're involved. You have your CNC Academy. What is it you do to get the youth excited about manufacturing?
To get youth excited?
Yeah. How do you get the
One thing I think one of our secret sauce, especially on YouTube, is just we make it fun. We make it exciting. We push the boundaries. We use from small machines to multi-million-dollar machines, and we really push the envelope to show people how to make money. Because time is money in manufacturing. So I think we're really solving the problems that matter to real manufacturers. And whether you're 14 years old or 18 years old, or 40 years old, I think you have to have that mindset that manufacturing is not good enough. You have to be able to make money for your family, for yourself, and to do that, you got to be good. So with most curriculum out there is outdated and almost obsolete. A lot of the machines that kids use are kind of obsolete now, so we just like to, show people real manufacturing, real techniques, and then what's possible, just to open their minds to true manufacturing.
And that's what gets them excited when they actually see it.
It's like we'll take a cutter and we'll just bury it in metal, and people will be like, oh, you're going to destroy the machine. But they don't understand that it can actually go twice as fast as that. It can do much more than that. And because we just went 10 times faster than other machine shops run, what if, it's kind of like I say, like Morpheus from the Matrix. Like, I'm opening your mind, because what if you went 4 times faster? That's 4 times productivity,
right?
And that matters. So even though we might be having fun and just cranking chips and doing things, where there's a lesson behind it,
right?
Yeah, and they love it. I mean, and some of the older generation might oh, Titan with his boom, but when I stand in front of 1,000 kids, that's what they ask first. Is like, can you do the boom? I just have fun with them. I'm a big kid at heart, so yeah.
That's awesome. Megan, what do you think companies could do better to attract a more diverse workforce?
There's a lot of things I think they can do. They definitely need to be more proactive in terms of connecting with the next generation. So open up your doors, start conducting facility tours and make it fun. Make sure you're having representation from all types included in the tours too. I've talked to a lot of girls in high school, and one of the things that they're concerned about is within smaller communities, they might be 1 or 2 women in a class of 30 guys, and that's intimidating to them. They want to know that they have a place here and that there's other women that they can relate to. So if you're a manufacturer in a small community and you have some women employees, make sure you're bringing them to the forefront of the tours as well too. Connect the kids with trade shows. In 2022, I sponsored a bus. I got sponsorship for a bus and brought 30 kids from the high school that I graduated from to IMTS. And the kids were completely blown away because depending on where you're from, they're only gonna learn what's available to them in that community. They're not necessarily gonna know other opportunities within manufacturing that exist. So coming to a giant trade show like IMTS or even something like this, they're gonna see that it's not just community-based, it's international-based. They're gonna learn that Solidworks and Gosse is not just here in the United States, it's in India, it's in France, it's in Italy. And that's gonna get them excited because they're focused on helping out society and the world. Like Generation Z, they want to provide value to the communities that they're from. So if they see that they're making a global difference, that's really gonna get them excited and they're gonna wanna come join the sector.
That's awesome. Can I
Absolutely.
comment on that?
Absolutely.
Like in industry in general, and especially CNC machining and engineering and all that, I think women are amazing. But you know what, I think the problem is awareness. You know, on YouTube, we have millions of people, but it's like 3% of people that watch are women. You know, so they just don't know that it's a thing, you know, that they could do and they could get paid very well, very well.
Yeah.
But I also, beyond, you know, just women, I think you look at, you know, autism. My son, Tyson, who teaches on YouTube and on the academy and runs a 9-axis machine, people thought that he would never drive a car. And now he owns a house and a car and teaches, you know. So those with autism do so good because it's a computer, it's a machine, it's repetition, they're being judged based on, you know, their productivity and different things. But I think you look at veterans, you look at, you know, African Americans, you know. You know, I always have that question, especially when I was in San Quentin prison, they're like, we never see, you know, like African Americans. And if you go to IMTS, nobody wants to talk about it, but like, you don't, you know? So I always try to bring awareness and kind of talk about the difficult things that people don't want to really talk about or they're kind of scared of, because manufacturing saved my life, saved many lives, and like you could just do so much good throughout our economy and all these inner cities, and if we actually brought work back and gave opportunities to those that need it most.
Absolutely.
And you don't necessarily need to go to a 4-year college to start out. Like you can start at a technical school or a vo-tech school, you can start an apprenticeship and then work your way up. And then if you still want to pursue that 4-year college opportunity, that's still an option as well.
Without all the debt, like you can actually get out of school.
To that point, I mean, I would say if you look at the starting salary of a really good welder who might have just got a welding certificate, it can be upwards of, with overtime, close to six figures and no college debt. And so right away, people could have a way to contribute that might even be above and beyond what they could contribute and get compensated for if they went to college. And so it's a real unique type of way to earn a living and contribute.
Now, Jeff, I'll ask you, how as a company do you retain and foster that diversity?
Yeah, so for us, what we're doing is we're constantly engaging our workforce, and we do it in a wide variety of ways. The first is we are listening, and we're taking every year a survey that goes to the employee and says, all right, what type of things and improvements can we make as a team, as a company, as a leadership team? And we're taking that information and then we're actually putting that back into the organization, making the changes that are required to try to help retain and keep some of the different employees happy, retained, engaged. The other thing that we do, I think that's best in class, is we offer what's called a Bright Ideas program. And what this does, it's another way to keep employees engaged and retained. And it says, if you can come up with an idea that improves throughput, so making the parts faster, it improves quality, it lowers cost, it enhances our environmental footprint, or it makes it a safer work environment. What we've done is we've allowed our employees, or given the venue where a suggestion can be written, it goes directly to me in ownership, and we're on those ideas very aggressively and very passionately. And year to date, since the program started about 4 years ago, we've actually implemented probably 700 to 800 ideas. Some of them are safety related, some of them save hundreds of dollars every day. And so that allows every single employee from the lowest level who just started 1 day ago to all the way to the president of the whole company being able to say, let's do this, and those ideas are listened to and acted on.
I love that.
Training is huge also. We are capable, and kind of because we have to be able to do this, we oftentimes train our employees from the ground up. So we're pulling in, cashiers, truck drivers, you name it, and we will train them from the ground up.
Oh, wow.
To get them up to speed. We come from a rural community in Nebraska where the population, the entire county has 5,000 people in it. So we have to be able to train and get people up to speed and foster their growth within
but give them
the industry.
Unlimited opportunity then to grow
Absolutely.
into whatever role they want. That's really cool. So I feel like solving the skills gap, which it won't be solved obviously by one thing, but it's kind of like a puzzle, right? What do you think is the biggest piece? What's the most important component of it? Who really needs to step up? Is it the schools? Is it the government? Is it the companies themselves? Is it the families? I mean, society. Maybe each of you could just give your thoughts on that. Like, who really needs to step up? What's going to change this?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that needs to change, I think we talked a little bit about it here on the panel, is awareness. And so for me, I'm the 4th generation manufacturer, if you will. And so for me, it was passed down through the generations that manufacturing, it can be something that's very rewarding, both in terms of being able to give back to society, as well as earning a living for my family and putting food on the table. But I think for a lot of, especially today's youth, the number one thing people want to go into is being a YouTube star, or doing different more tech pieces. And at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people realize, especially in our younger generations, that manufacturing is something that you can go into. It's something that is very lucrative. And I think oftentimes the whole what is a manufacturer, I don't think is fully understood by people.
Right. It is high tech now.
Yeah, when you jump into a car, I think people in general think, okay, Tesla manufactured my car, General Motors manufactured my car. That's great. There's a bunch of Tesla jobs out there, or General Motors jobs, but that's it. Well, they don't realize that there's 1,500 to 2,000 unique companies with on average 200 jobs at each one of the parts that goes into that one Tesla or General Motors.
Right.
And so once people start to realize that, I think they can say, wow, there is things in manufacturing there that I could get involved in.
Okay, good. What about you, Megan?
So, we have a combination of generations all working in manufacturing right now. We have the baby boomers who are headed out, we have millennials, we have the Gen Xers, and now we're starting to pull in Gen Z. And my daughter is part of Gen Z, and she decided that she wanted to go off to school and become a surgical nurse. Why? Because Grey's Anatomy is her favorite TV show. So I think we need to work together to create hype around engineering and manufacturing in a language that the next generation understands. So the question is, what are their core values? What are they interested in? What do they want to participate in? And there's a lot of civil unrest going around, especially here in America, and you have to pay attention to who your audience is and let them know that you have some common ground there with some of those core values. What you're talking about is investing in your current workforce. The Great Resignation did not happen too long ago. People were quitting their companies because they didn't feel like they were of any value to their employers. You need to show that you're willing to invest in them and help them grow along with their career pathway. A lot of kids that I've talked to at IMTS, they were really big into energy efficiency and sustainability efforts. So the company that was here on day one talking about some of the things that they were doing in the ocean, that would like totally perk up the ears from the kids that I talked to. So again, it's the awareness issue. We have to show them how this sector helps change the major problems that we are facing as a society.
Right.
So how do we do that in a fun, cool way? And the only way we can do that is if we all work together, but manufacturers kind of need to lead that as well too,
Right.
because they're the experts. They need to get in front of the schools. They need to get in front of the families. They need to educate their communities on what products and services they're creating in those communities. So I feel like manufacturers are going to have that bigger role into attracting the next generation to this sector.
Okay. Titan, you have anything?
Yeah, I would say all of the above.
All the
we
above,
just need
okay.
to respect and honor manufacturing. It's what built our great country, and any country that invests in manufacturing and promotes it, they do well, and it's just proven. If you take manufacturing away, you're building prisons and taking away opportunity. So awareness, I absolutely agree, and that was one of my frustrations when I started like the TV show, is everybody stands up there and year after year at IMTS and they talk of this skills gap, but nobody's actually doing anything about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so when we did the TV show, we're like, okay, we're gonna put CNC machining on national television. And then every time I'd go to Detroit, I'd go different places, I'd be like, oh, what school's here? So let's go visit Macomb College or whatever. And what I realized when I went was that they're just doing a few holes after a few years, like a little bracket, things that you can't get paid, you don't deserve to get paid for, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I really thought about it and thought, you know what, it's not really a skills gap, it's an awareness gap, and it's a training gap. Because these kids, like, you know, the people making decisions on education are, you know, truthfully, 60 years old, 70 years old, they trained a certain way. So they're making these kids that grew up from a young age on cell phones and computers and technology to go this old school path, which they just end up phasing out, you know, and not getting there and stuff. So that's why our academy, it's like, it's CNC from day one, because that's how you're gonna make money, you know? And it's like CAD and CAM and CNC, and we put the whole thing together. And then we built the social media platform, CNC Expert now, which attacks the skills gap, because now there's over 100 countries represented. And if you live in Baltimore, you live in California, you can literally just look on there, look at all these machinists in California, students, look at their certificates, look at their parts, and make a judgment based on their workmanship, and then actually hire them, and it's all free. So as that thing is just growing, it's only been 2 months and it's already over 100 countries represented.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That's part of your CNC.
Yep, CNCexpert.com.
I kind of get the feeling that social media actually is going to play a role.
That's where the kids are at.
That's where the kids are at, right?
So why wouldn't you invest in that?
Yeah, social media is the biggest. There's negative things about it, but because of the groups and the amount of people, you can just talk to people all over the world, and these kids are there. So, like, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, and it's like our views are over like in the billions now.
Wow.
So like you're just reaching so many people, and I see a bunch of teachers here, and they're stopping. Oh, Mike, I play your videos all the time for the kids, and they love it, and you know. So
that's awesome.
But they wouldn't see it. All these. You talk about companies. The companies actually are a reason for the skills gap, because they lock their doors and they don't show their processes because of intellectual property.
Because they feel it's a competitive advantage now.
Exactly, exactly. And so then they'll sit there talking about a skills gap, and yet they won't let you through the door. They won't let you show real process and how things are made.
Do you find that also,
here.
Megan, when you bring
Yeah,
students
it
into
gets extremely frustrating because NDAs, I think, hinder people. And I think we're at a time where we just need to collaborate more than compete more. So I agree with him. I think there's a major issue with, keeping your doors closed. And in reality, like I tried saying, everybody's using the same salt. It's not any different seasoning. Right. So,
well, what I think might be also a little unique is it might not necessarily be a purposeful NDA where I'm trying to hide it.
Right.
I think, especially, I look at even just my competition, for example, and I look at their website. I mean, something as simple as a website that these companies that I'm competing with, they don't even do a great job marketing themselves to get new business on a website. Some of the things we're talking about here on this panel, TikTok and Instagram.
Way beyond.
I mean, if you're not doing your own website right,
Yeah.
And that's what makes you money, how are you going to be into Twitter and TikTok? And
Right.
so I think there's some of that as well, where you've got manufacturers tending to be, the leaders of manufacturing organizations tending to be maybe a little bit older,
Yep.
an older demographic. And if they're not willing to hire someone to monitor Instagram or get them even a LinkedIn profile, I mean, my company didn't even have a business LinkedIn profile up until I came there about 7 or 8 years ago. So if we can't advertise ourselves on these platforms, how are we going to start to advertise our industry?
Right.
If
right.
you can't show something, okay, then show something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Ashley, did you have anything else you wanted to add to the?
I mean, I agree with,
You're
with
agreeing
all of
with
that. Yeah, social media truly it's given us a competitive advantage. We're in front of people and we are sharing what we're doing, and that's very important. It's helped us get our name out there and meet tons of amazing people with great knowledge and.
Yeah, because recruiting has to be an issue where you are.
Absolutely.
I can imagine that it's very difficult to
So
recruit people to that area.
it's important for people to go to a website that has good information and pictures and content that excites people.
that they want to engage with. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree, but I also say, how many websites do we actually go to now? You Google and the information is right there.
Right.
SpaceX buyers, they don't want to go to a website. Everybody can put up good pictures. They want to
Right.
see actual parts.
They want to see how it's made. Well, I think I interviewed you, Megan, yesterday, and I think you said it. I asked, what is it that gives student that aha moment, that moment where they're like, oh, this is so cool. And she's like, it's when they can see how their cell phone's made.
Right. Yeah.
Show them something, that they're so, it's like an organ for a teenager, right? Is their cell phone. Show them how it's made. They get it and they get excited, right? So
Right.
I guess
I think-
manufacturers need to be more open about that.
Yeah.
Show what you're doing and
People always ask me, like, how do you get in with SpaceX and how do you do this? And I'm like, you literally can go on LinkedIn and just go friend every buyer. Just look up SpaceX and buyer purchasing, and you can just friend all of them, and then just start like inspiring them with the parts, and posting and stuff. And it's inevitable you're gonna get in,
I think we've gone a long way in solving this, I gotta tell you.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm glad we got together and had this conversation because clearly it was needed. So thank you
Thank
all
you.
for your time. This was awesome. I really enjoyed the conversation. And the conversation will continue, obviously. So I think I'm trying to think who we have. I think we can.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Awesome, thank you.
Titan, Jeff, thank you, Barb. Thank you for this great session. We heard how important it is to be inclusive for manufacturing, inclusive of new people, young generations, diverse talents. This is the way to fill the skill gap, to build the workforce of the future. As we heard from titans of CNC, this new workforce has to be able to manufacture parts and to manage core fabrication processes and machining. So our CAM solution provides associativity with SolidWorks CAD and provides far more than tool movement creation to this new workforce. It is bringing a high-fidelity virtual shop floor to the NC programmer. With simulation always on, the tool and machine capabilities are always respected, ensuring tool path efficiency and safety. turning, milling, mill turn, wire EDM, laser cutting, water jet cutting, robot machining techniques are supported in our software to manufacture prismatic parts, rotary parts, as well as mold and die, and the most complex components for the aerospace industry. You can see all of that in our playground. The DELMIA CAM solution also covers additive and hybrid manufacturing processes. This allows manufacturers to streamline activities in a common environment, avoiding costly data exchanges and extra training for users. DELMIA CAM makes it possible to store the machining know-how of experts, enabling a smooth transfer to a younger generation of NC programmers. Our recent studies measure a 50% reduction of training time with the intuitive new wizard-based user interface. And we use our software also in education, as you can see. But in addition, automation is also a key transformation of manufacturing. It helps coping for insufficient workforce. It can also attract young talents to manufacturing. So to help you there, we are introducing the new DELMIA robot programmer role. It is absolutely packed with functionalities that allow Solidworks users to imagine all the possibilities of engineering a robot work cell. It combines the capabilities that apply to every step of the engineering process, from work cell and plant layout to teaching and simulation, as well as work cell validation and offline programming the robots. All of this is contained in a single software role. It features functionalities to address robot applications such as material handling, sealant deposition, cutting, arc welding. It lets you engineer the robot work cell to operate more accurately and efficiently than using traditional methods. It allows you to bring product into production faster, providing you with a better 3D experience world. So beyond NC machining that we just saw and robot simulation, programming, we also wanted to offer you, with 3DEXPERIENCE Works, with the ability to simulate and assess different options for different workshop layouts. The 3D point cloud scan of your existing factory is the perfect place to start re-engineering your production operations. With this virtual factory context, it is easy to explore and test alternatives when considering the introduction of a new equipment, changing a layout, or even modifying worker assignments and shifts. A full range of simulation analytics gives you the information you need about performance and cost to select the best solution for your business. And we have a great testimonial on this topic at the end of this session. Finally, final but not last, single source of truth of operational transactional data is also the solution to manage efficiently your end-to-end manufacturing processes. This is what we offer in DELMIA Works Manufacturing ERP. And for that, I will let one of our users talk about it.
My name is Kevin Ahern. I've been at Kennerly Spratling since 1998. I'm the general manager. Kennerly Spratling is a contract manufacturer. We're based in California with divisions in San Leandro, San Jose, and then we also have an international division in Mexico. The way in which Kennerly Spratling uses DELMIA Works' system is simple. It's from stem to stern. That's the foundation around which our system is built. An order comes in that generates requirements that push a work order. That work order pushes requirements all throughout our system. So our customer service team processes, and everybody else has to execute scheduling, purchasing, engineering, and quality. And then that gets into production, obviously, when we go to run a job.
So this concludes the overview of our awesome 3DEXPERIENCE Works manufacturing portfolio. I hope you enjoyed it, but it's not finished. It's now time to hear about another amazing, moving story. For that, I would like to call on stage Mike Buckley, Partner Sales Director for 3DEXPERIENCE Works. Mike, you have the floor.
See? Got some fans.
Hey everyone,
I get the lucky job today of talking with Todd and Sailor. Todd, you've had an interesting method to get here today. Let's talk a little bit about your journey in the last 4 years.
It's kind of interesting. I actually don't have a mechanical background. I started in the car business. I was always curious how things were built, put together, made. A buddy of mine taught me how to build custom cars and motorcycles. And from that landed me a job at K&N air filter company. And once I started there, that kind of exposed me to machining. There's always like a gate behind the machine shop. I was always wondering what they were doing back there. So I finally worked my way into the machine shop. I cut material for a year, then bugged my way into being an operator, from an operator, a programmer. And at that point, I was introduced to Solidworks.
So Solidworks, we were talking backstage, right? And we were chatting a little bit, and we're gonna get to Sailor here in a second because she has some of the coolest jobs on the planet these days. But talk a little bit about learning Solidworks, because it's not really a traditional method.
So for me personally, it was tough. When you go online to learn about SolidWorks, I did not go to college, so I had to exhaust every resource possible to figure out anything, to create a boss or a revolve or whatever. So my boss gave me the opportunity for a year to learn. So I'd come in an hour early every day to work. I would stay an hour late every day. And after about a year, I finally learned the software well enough to actually be promoted to the engineering department.
Okay. So you got SolidWorks going, you got up to speed, you went through some of that process. When we start talking about the next steps, right? That's where life gets fun and a little bit of stress in the way. So
right.
Let's talk about the next part of your journey.
So I got an opportunity with a startup. I took the opportunity, and that's where I was able to acquire a CNC machine with the promises of getting work and just growing with the company. I was excited. We were doing LED lights. So as time went on, things didn't work out. There was a mismanagement of money, and sorry, I get choked up every time I think about it. They ran out of money, and it put my family and I in a terrible position. It just put us out. We lost everything. We lost our home. We lost everything.
Yeah. So from that, you told me that you moved from California and then you relocated to Arizona.
To Arizona.
Right? So
yep.
when you started with this, you had some SolidWorks skills. You started working a little bit of machining. What was that journey like when you got to Arizona?
So when we moved here, we lived with my sister, and it was my wife and I and my 2 kids at the time. We have 4 total. We were living in one room, and I was doing air conditioning. I was installing microwaves, dishwashers, making $60, $80 a day. Finally, my dad helped us get a place, and I started using SolidWorks as a main source of income. I was doing design work, making Harley parts and this and that. So.
Well, because you still had your Tormach, right?
Still had the Tormach.
Part of that journey is you took your Tormach, you took the skills you had with SolidWorks, you went through that process, and it looks like, if we look on the screen here, there's a couple little ideas and things that you went through, right?
So I really didn't know how to run a CNC machine. So, it was a mixture of trying to learn. So my wife came to me and she says, we basically need to make more money. We need food. We need diapers. And so I just put my head down and started learning. Just whatever I had to do, sleep in the garage, make parts, scrap parts, finally put an ad on Craigslist, got my first customer, and I remember getting paid $200 to make one part. And it was heaven sent, so.
So in progressing, you started getting some business. You mentioned Craigslist. You go through that. If we're looking right here, it looks like you evolved from a Tormach.
Yeah. So the photos you see there is a leap of faith. We got our first shop. Taking on the rent. I bought this machine. I didn't even know how to run it. I've never used a Gosse in my life. So I would just imagine, going from the position I'm in, having no money whatsoever. Now I have a shop, now I have rent, now I have a machine payment. I borrowed the money. Yep. I borrowed $40,000 from my father-in-law just to buy this machine. So there was a ton of pressure on my shoulders.
Well, and the gentleman that was up here earlier, Titan, right?
Titan,
he was a big help in that journey.
Oh yeah, Titan was a big help. His content was the most accessible at the time. for as far as tooling. So, you know, whenever I was down and out and I needed help with feeds, speeds, tooling, you know, I remember buying a core drill, and he had a video where he went full depth on the core drill, and I was able to hog out the aluminum. I mean, it literally went from sleeping in the garage to making this part in a half day. So it's like you got an instant pay raise. So it was awesome.
Now, we have this video here. We'll talk about this, and then in a second, we're going to jump to Sailor here a little bit. Talk about this, because this sort of connects SolidWorks, right?
Yeah, so this is when we moved to Arizona, one of our local Boy Scout troops came. I guess the dad wanted to make a trebuchet, got in over his head. He gave me the plans. So we sat down and designed it in SolidWorks. I gave him the models basically, and he paid us. So I was like, cool, job's done, you know. And then he came back to me. He's like, I can't make it. Can you make it? So we ended up making the trebuchet, and you could see that's from my front yard. I launched the ball over the neighbor's yard. it was cool. It actually worked. Yeah.
So after this, obviously you mentioned moving with your family to Arizona.
Right.
Things started to pick up a little bit. Your business started to progress, and again, we're talking 4 years ago to today. We're sitting right here, right? So things started moving a little bit fast. Can you talk a little bit about the changes in the family along the way there too?
So we added two more kids. I had another girl, and I had my first son. So that was on top of growing a business. We added two more, so that was extremely hectic. My wife's helping. She was homeschooling. She's running the business. So as our home is absolutely chaotic, but it's just one big blessing.
Yeah. And you guys do a lot of stuff with Xometry too, right? That's one of the things that you do a lot of work with?
Did a lot of work with Xometry in the beginning. Did a lot of their training videos. You know, how to make their test part. I went through the whole program, how to make the test part, how to make the lathe part. So that was good. And then just slowly progressed with them. I was doing several videos and stuff.
So now we're going to get to you. So talk a little bit about this, because one of the things that was really cool, we got a chance to meet you at IMTS, right? You guys were there. I think it was a birthday. You went to IMTS, right?
Yeah,
so
it was my 10th birthday.
Let's talk a little bit about you running the machines here, and I'll see if I can play these videos in the right order. So explain a little bit about what you're doing here.
Okay, so that one I was making.
Those are adapters for the mining industry, so they get welded onto the large tractors. So she's just putting the tapped holes into it.
Okay.
I showed her how to do the job in about 10 minutes, and so you can go from there.
So I had to put the part in, make sure it was on the right side, tighten it, hit it with the hammer, then press a button, and there you go.
And that's as easy as it is, huh?
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
And she actually did such a great job, and she completed the job, so I was like, I'm paying you. You did amazing. She worked 8 hours that day, and I was extremely proud of her.
So we have the other video here where you're running the lathe. Can you talk a little bit about the steps for that?
I was opening the chuck and drying the part and then putting it onto the plate for it to be finished.
Okay.
And then I push it back in and close the chuck, close the door, and push a button.
That's pretty awesome steps right there. Now, I see you were a smart machinist there. You held the door shut when you blew the chips, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here are you doing inspection on the prints?
Yeah, no, my dad is.
Your dad is?
She's learning. She's learning how to inspect the parts, and I'm teaching her how to read decimals and, you know.
Yeah. So is here sort of the finished part? You're taking it out and replacing it? Yeah?
I remember being so excited putting in the last part and taking it out. It was so fun. So excited.
So how many parts did you run on that? Do you remember?
I think it was about 200.
200? Okay. So when we jump forward here, I think your sister's in that view
there's
too,
my
right?
little sister, Zoe. She's right there in the audience.
Right over there?
Uh-huh.
So what are you doing in those pictures there?
We are putting bolts or assemblies together, and my sister is helping me put them together.
Okay, so you're doing assembly? So you did machining, you did assembly. You enjoy going in and working in the shop and building things?
Yes, it's really fun. I enjoy hanging out with my dad.
Do you? So one of the things I heard is that you have a business idea, and I know we can't talk too much about it, But I also heard that there was some advice that your mom had as well. Can you share what that advice was?
She suggested, dang it.
Something about don't work with your dad.
Oh yeah. Don't work with your dad because he will be too busy. And he'll never make your parts.
So, it's very awesome. How old are you?
10.
10. So, running machines by herself at 10 years old with her dad. Manufacturing has an amazing place and a lot of chances for everyone to have a job and be successful.
Yes.
And with that, they're telling me that we're getting close to the end of our time, but there's some cotton candy in back. You want to go have some with me?
Yeah.
Can I say thank you to a few people?
Yeah, absolutely. Say thank you.
Thank you to my wife for putting up with me. Thank my whole family. Thank you, Solidworks, Barb, Mike, and I want to thank you, Titan. I appreciate it, and manufacturing saved my life. So,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead and go back there.
Thank you, Todd and Sailor, for this amazing testimony. Welcome to the new generation, to machining, by the way. And thank you, Mike. So, we are now ready to hear another great experience, another great example of a company willing to transform its manufacturing operations. So for this, let me welcome on stage Al Busboom and James Kucera.
How are you? Hello, Karine.
Hello. So, you're both working for Behlen Company, Behlen Building Systems, and Behlen has a tagline, good steel, great experience. So Al, can you tell us more about what your company is doing?
Behlen Manufacturing started in Columbus, Nebraska in a little garage in 1936. And so 87 years later, we're now 1,100 employees throughout the U.S. Columbus has grown to 700 employees at that location. And we've diversified into 3 different business units. We have a buildings group, like you talk about, and it's got big beams and steel and sidewalls and all the things that go into building a building frame. We've also got a farm and ranch division that does stock tanks for cattle and hogs. It does bale feeders and ag equipment for hobby farmers, things like that. We also have a diversified product that has custom fabrication and a stitching press for steel coils. And the grain bin industry, we have bins that we make for grain bin storage too. So we're a very diversified group right now.
Okay, and so with this great business, what are the challenges you're facing?
Biggest challenge is managing all that inventory. So when you're thinking about a building beam that could be 50, 60 feet long and 5,000 pounds compared to a steel stock tank that is 30 pounds, you have a process time difference between days and weeks to make something versus a few hours or a few minutes to make something. So we have a lot of product moving throughout the plant. As this got put together over the last 50 years in this building is 900,000 square foot. And so all those products are built in that one building. So you can imagine the product moving through there, and it's not all lined up in a perfect flow. So we're trying to figure out how do we think about the future as we migrate to more of the Industry 4.0, how do we make ourselves set up for that? So that's our biggest challenge, is how do we lay our plan out? How do we become more efficient, more productive, more effective in our business to bring a better product to better cost?
Okay, so James, I think you've been given the task to solve this challenge, right?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us about how you're doing this?
So one of the biggest challenges, as Al has commented on, is that how do you collaborate with multiple business units? It's not like within this 900,000 square feet that this person has their square and this person has their square. It's really somewhat of a hodgepodge of, they kind of overlap in certain areas. So the task at hand is, how do you find that space for bringing in new equipment? How do you find the space for moving something else? We have a current capital project that's coming in where the assembly line is going to be over 200 some feet long. The current assembly line can't be removed to put that in. So you have to do a lot of collaborating with business unit leaders, manufacturing managers, team leaders throughout the whole group. And it's a challenge to make everybody happy, right? You might make the person happy who's getting the machine, but you're going to upset the people that are there. Taking a look at our the video that you're seeing, some of this shows you what our facility is like. It's not fresh, it's not new, there's stuff everywhere. So being able to use the factory flow simulation, the 3D model, it truly allows us to show those opportunities to those business unit leaders to show what's possible without them having to think about it. So the idea of pictures worth 1,000 words, it truly is when you can look at our facility. And as we move that materials, move the equipment, and then use the factory flow, it's going to guide us in the right way of setting everything up the correct way for what we see in the future, 5 years down the line and 10 years down the line, and allows us to really truly use lean principles and everything else, and to hopefully get the job done right the first time.
Yeah, being able to lay it out, like you said, for a vision for the future is a big deal for us. And, being able to simulate that without physically having to move things or, hook something up or try it first and, oh, that didn't work, we should try it this way. That's what we're envisioning down the road as we go forward, as to how can we do this that makes sense 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
And some of the other stuff that it truly adds into as well is your standard layouts were boxes, but did you include every chair, every desk? Did you include the trash can? Did you include the sawhorses?
Pallet jacks.
Pallet jacks.
Okay.
So some of the things that it can help you do overall as well is we're seeing to where our facility might have had a trestle to hold beams on, but we might have 10 different trestles. So the process, as you can see in the video, of I either have to remove the item to show it's not there, or I have to use it as a block to use it. When you start looking at lean and standardization, this helps drive a lot of those situations that you need, because now we can look at it and say, hey, why do we have 20 different styles of trestles when we can have one? And it not only simplifies our plant layout, but it also simplifies everything moving forward at that rate as well.
When we talk about your project, you also explained that you have to manage in parallel keeping older processes or older machines while moving to the new. Can you tell us more how you manage this diversity of processes and moving not in one shot to the next phase, but also making sure you are able to continue what you're currently doing in terms of activity?
So with trying to find that space is what it comes down to in the collaboration between groups. The current one that we're working on, we have to work amongst the space that we're provided is part of one business unit space, the other part's another business unit space. So we want to maintain that process of what it is, plus the process flow of making sure this is the right sense. When you're moving the equipment, you don't want to have to move it 2-3 times to find that right way. So working with those departments, we have to move stuff out of that bay to make it work and make it make sense as well. So that one move of bringing in maybe one piece of equipment is now changing into, I have maybe 20 moves of other equipment or other things that have to move. So it's nothing simple. We have to really look around and find, like we said at the beginning of this, we're trying to find what's best for the flow, the process and everything, not for today, but for the next 10 years, and make sure that we don't run into the same situations we've had in the past.
Well, the nice part about this particular software is you can put it on a screen and you can show everybody. You can show what it's going to look like. You can help them envisionize what it's going to be, and it helps understand what we're trying to accomplish and get everybody to buy in on that collaboration, so
yes.
what our visions are, and to hear what their concerns are. Did we take into account everything that everybody has to deal with, and make sure we didn't miss anything.
So certainly, as you strongly highlight, getting everyone buying into this process of standardizing, of changing or optimizing is probably also a key part
Yeah,
of what you have to do.
the factory flow is a nice tool to be able to use that to try to plan and show ourselves what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alan James. I think we're all very eager to hear about the next chapter of your history of this great family business that you are running. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. That was a pretty impressive example about how virtual twin experiences can help address the challenges in manufacturing. Thank you. And I cannot wait to see what Saylor and her generation will make next. Well, once again, we have part 2 of the Platform Jones story. So if you didn't see it in the morning sessions, you do not want to miss what happens. It is Platform Jones. He narrowly escapes peril and recovers lost features from the old Solidworks headquarters. Yesterday, we saw some compelling 2024 demos, but then we were all left hanging with a missing code reference, pointing to a mysterious Well of Features folder on a USB drive belonging to Brenda. But Platform and Markup are falling behind their old nemesis Firelock, who has tracked down Brenda on her way home.
Brenda, or shall I say Madame Camford, Senior R&D Manager? You're coming with me, and you're going to sing like a canary.
Aw, you noticed my LinkedIn update. Wait, what?
That's right. You're going to tell me all the new features in Solidworks 2024 or else.
Oh my, that's pungent. What did you have for lunch?
It was a garlic chicken pesto sandwich. It was quite nice, but I brushed my teeth, I swear. Now, tell me all the new features in SolidWorks 2024, or I'll use this.
Is that a slide rule?
It is, and I have no idea how to use it, but it is very dangerous.
2024? Come on, buddy. I just set up my 2023 calendar. Every day it's a different motivational saying. Today's was, when you're feeling down, use the up key. Isn't that clever?
Yeah, that is nice. I like that. It's very motivational. I'll have to write that down, yeah. Now, you're going to tell me every feature that's ever happened. Are you going to answer your phone? That's a little obnoxious. I mean, I guess they can wait.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be just a minute.
I'm a villain. I'm an evil villain. Villain. Menace. Enough! Now, you're going to give me all the new features in SolidWorks 2024 for my designers, so they can have them before anybody else.
You're just gonna have to wait for the file release notes, buddy.
Firelock. Firelock waits no update, Fraulein. Vivac! Madame Camford, R&D Senior Manager, you're going to show me everything that is new in SolidWorks 2024. And for the sake of it, could you explain what 3DEXPERIENCE is all about? I'm still kind of foggy on that one.
You know I can't do that. There's strict NDAs in place.
Well, surely our legal teams can come to some terms with no delay or unnecessary back and forth.
You may as well just wait for the release notes. Besides, even if I wanted to, I don't have my laptop here.
Enough with the excuses. You will show me what your developers have been working on. There is no escape key for you here.
I can't.
You can.
I won't.
You will.
Oh boy, this is gonna take a while. You got any coffee for this? 3 creams, 3 sugars, and a straw?
Sure, I can do that.
Once we enter Firelock's headquarters, we'll need to get past his design and drafting department.
Markup. If we wait till Friday, maybe 2:30, it'll be as empty as a freshly formatted SSD.
Brilliant, Platform Jones. So we save Brenda, you subdue Firelock,
and I'll make sure she still has her USB drive. Once we save her, she'll have to show us what's in the Well of Features folder.
I'll put these notes into action, and these tasks in work.
Okay, look. What if I show you some of our new SolidWorks Cloud? Would you like that? I could even create something amazing and send it up to the printers up there.
Now we're speaking the same language.
How about a little Slack?
Design.
Boom! How about that for a demo?
Brenda, we're here to save you.
Platform Jones. Last time you and I collaborated, you left my assembly mate full of errors. This time, I'm way ahead of you, pal.
Nice to see you too. Listen, no time for chit-chat. Do you still have that special USB drive you used to wear around your neck?
I don't know what you're talking about, Jones.
Don't run your pretty little loops on me. I know it has the Well of Features folder on it.
Jones, you look a lot better than you think. The Well of Features, really? You think that's just sitting in some folder on some amazingly bedazzled USB necklace?
So, what's on that?
This old thing? It's just a project plan. A project plan that contains the Well of Features, but...
That well could unlock new features for users everywhere. It belongs in our CAD.
But there's a problem. It requires the credentials of someone of legendary status. Someone who has spent his entire career cataloging features and file sets the world over.
Brenda, are you suggesting whom I think you're suggesting?
Yep, his dad, Professor Jones.
If you want to get serious about competing in Model Mania, you got to learn the fundamentals. Move and delete face, edit sketch plane, offset surface. And you had rebuild errors this time, kid, but that doesn't mean you have to like it.
Gee, Dr. Jones, I was just asking you about a dimension on the section view.
You're out of time anyway. Come back to me when you're a CSWE. Only then will you truly be ready for a Phase 2 design change.
Dad, it sure has been a while since Essentials. I hope you're staying tough with that Model Mania tutoring. Weather is fine. Anywho, can I borrow your old 3DEXPERIENCE login credentials, please? Platform Jones.
Borrow my login credentials? What does he think this is, some sort of CAD tube account? What has this kid gotten himself into anyway? And why does he insist on calling himself Platform? The software is the platform. I told you, kid, come back when you're a CSWE.
I am not a CSWE. I'm Firelock, and you are coming with me.
It's never not funny. They're so good. Well, tomorrow we will see if Platform, Markup, and Brenda can work together to rescue Professor Jones and continue their quest for the Well of Features. And that concludes our Focus General Sessions for today. Don't forget to be back in this room tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I will see you tonight in the Bash on Broadway. Have a great day.